During PHP era, people used to build backend just by creating one PHP file, and they used to write HTML and all the logic related to database and all, and they used to create one web page which will be executed in the backend, and it will give some kind of result in the front end. Simplest example I can give you here is people used to build one website, and in that they used to put one contact form where people could have entered their name and phone number. Then they could have sent some kind of message to the website owner, and this entire thing used to be done using PHP. That is, taking the input from the user using forms and then running some kind of maybe validation in it, and then they used to send it to the database, and maybe some kind of email service used to be called. This used to be so much simple. Just create one PHP file and write all the logic inside it only. If you want to create multiple pages, you have to create multiple PHP pages with whatever the logic you wanted to create in it. This was so good until the problems like scaling up and security started coming up. That, for example, some kind of security feature you want to implement, and if your code is something like this, everything is splitted up into one file, and there is no kind of uniformity, it used to be really problem for implementing new feature. For example, if you wanted to add some kind of security middleware, it was really tough to go into all the files and setting up it, and in order to add some kind of new feature, you had to look at hundreds of files, and you had to fix it. Due to this, backend frameworks like CodeIgniter, Laravel started becoming popular. With these two frameworks, especially for PHP, people started to work with crazy big projects using this thing. Lots of business applications started to build using this kind of frameworks, because the benefit using these kind of frameworks was they used to set up most of the functionalities by default. For example, for security, there used to be always one kind of middleware which used to validate and maybe secure whatever the user used to input. And for authentication and all, Laravel used to give lots of packages using which you could have easily implemented login functionality, and security of your web application was so much nice to build. So that was about the PHP, and even Laravel is so much popular nowadays because Laravel makes sure that you can work with any kind of crazy amount of big project, and most of the companies still use. But if you are not into PHP, then there is no problem. There are so many frameworks available for whatever the language which you are using. In my channel, most of you are into JavaScript development. So in order to code backend using JavaScript, usually people use something like Nodejs with Express. But with just Nodejs and Express, you will face most of the problems to optimize the application, as well as you want to add some kind of security feature. But there is one framework in Nodejs called as Nest.js, and this particular framework allows you to do all the functionalities which I mentioned. That is, separating model, view, and controller. And view is usually front-end application, so you will be building API in this particular case. But all the routes, controllers, everything will be separate, and you will be able to make sure your application works properly. And if you are Python developer, then obviously there is Django, using which you will be able to build amazing web application. Obviously, just like how Laravel is there for PHP and Nest.js is there for Node.js, same way even Python has Django in terms of providing similar functionalities. And there are so many other things also. For example, in order to build backend web application using Java, you can use Spring Boot. That's also one of the options. Building one large scale application becomes so much easier, and adding new functionality and security and all is so much easy. And most of the time, there is high chance that you might go wrong if you directly use normal PHP or normal Node.js application in terms of creating some kind of best practice. But in frameworks, you are restricted to use best practices only. That's why it's always preferred to use frameworks once you're familiar with the basics of whatever the language you are using. So that's it for this video, guys. See you in the next video. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. If you have any doubt, don't forget to put it in the comment box, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.